Hello, welcome to Ron Whitlock Reports. We're looking into the state of agriculture, the state of water, and the state of the price of food, which you and I pay for when we go to the supermarket. Colin and Clarence Chopless.
Correct.
And that means chop less cotton, right?
That's right.
Came over from Greece how many generations ago, and now you farm together as a father-son operation, 3,500 acres, some irrigated here in Greater South Texas, San Patricio and B County. Now we're coming to you from the B County Co-op, which is only just a few yards from the San Patricio County Co-op. They kind of commingle, they kind of work together, kind of like A&M and UT. Sometimes better than that. So tell me, Clarence, you're the one who serves on the Underground Water District, serving this county and other county. How important is water going forward in the legislative session in Austin? What kind of battles do you foresee, and what kind of fight do you think might have to be accrued to agriculture as more and more cities, municipalities want that ag water?
Well, I think it's going to be very critical. They say there's only a certain amount of water out there for everyone to share. And I feel like from an agricultural standpoint that we do an extremely good job of managing what we have, and we take care of what we have under our ground. We're not wasteful in the way that we treat our land, and we're getting a decent return out on it. So I think from the general public, they need to understand that agriculture and farmers in general are here to manage the land properly and take care of it, and so that it'll be here, not for just my dad and my generation, but for other generations to come. We don't want this to end to the fourth generation. We'd like it to continue, from here on out. So, I think people in general got to understand that farmers are the good guys out here, that we're working to preserve things and, not only provide a safe and consistent food supply, but that we're here to make a profit, and we're here to take care of it, the way we run our operations. So,
Continuing discussion by the state of Texas, who really wants to take control of water. The state of Arizona decided years ago because of urbanization, it saw the end and decline totally of agriculture, and it legislatively dictated that agriculture was going out of business in order for those people to figure out to do something else. State of Texas also has its eyes on water service and groundwater, wants to control it through TCEQ and other entities. Are you concerned about that? Because anything dictated from Austin to control that water, and you have wells that you have paid for, infrastructure you paid for on your farm, you own those wells, you put in that well, and now other people are talking about in Austin maybe taking control of that water. Does that concern you?
Yes, it definitely concerns us. Any one of us that have gone and spent the amount of monies that we have, myself and neighbors, to put in these irrigation wells, who just a matter of a few years ago cost us, say, basically $200,000 to put the whole system in, the drilling of the well, the pipe, the overhead sprinklers and everything. The amount of monies that we've put into this, and now the people in the larger cities think that, well, we really don't need it, they come first and that sort of thing. Well, I can understand that they'd like to have a good fresh glass of water, but then what are you going to use that water for? You got to have something to eat with it, and we're just trying to help the United States farmers in the world to feed them.
If agriculture is not able to sustain itself and continue to produce quality food at the prices we're used to paying at HEB and other grocery stores, then ultimately these farms will be turned over to do something else, and we'll have to buy our food from a foreign country. Is it that simple or not? Is that the truth?
Yes, that is actually the truth. It's funny. People in the United States don't really realize that how the farmer does his farm. One of these days, the folks, because of the urban sprawl that comes out here and takes over our farmland, takes over our water rights because they're covering the ground with a house or a parking lot or some kind of city dwelling. That's cutting away from their food supply. That's cutting away from the water supply. They'll have to realize one of these days they will be having to put an order into China or someplace to get the next fall's supply of rice, or maybe next spring's supply of post-oasis or something like that. if they don't wake up and pay attention to quit trying to take our water rights away from us, that they will be having to go someplace else to get their food products and that sort of thing.
That discussion point will continue after this commercial break. Stay tuned. Coming to you today from Tynan, Texas. It's just near the Mathis Lake, where the main water supply of the city of Corpus Christi comes from. We're here talking to farmers, all of which do a little bit of irrigation on their particular farms here in greater South Texas. Let's bring in now Travis Adams. Travis, welcome to Ron Whitlock Report. Now, Travis, you're the president of the Farm Bureau for San Patricio County, and that means you're the fellow that kind of brings all the farmers together, as you have done for us here today in Tynan, Texas, and we appreciate that, you bringing that to bear here at your co-op. What is the number one issue that not only Bobby, but the other farmers here gathered today are concerned about going into the next Texas legislative session?
Well, obviously, water is going to be a very critical part of this session coming up. We've had numerous run-ins with other cities or other municipalities looking at expanding their water supply and looking out for the agriculture community to perhaps solve that problem for them. So we're still believing in the right of capture for farmers to capture their own water underneath their own land, and we need to have some kind of dialogue of how that municipalities and farmers are able to coexist with the same kind of water supplies, I believe.
Well, there are rice farmers to the south and east of the city of Houston that are not able to irrigate any longer because there are other larger municipalities in their general area, which is keeping them from getting that irrigated water that they've used for generations to keep their rice farms in operation. And that's happening all around the nation. It's not only totally unique here to the Lone Star State of Texas. Travis, as the president of the Farm Bureau, you're saying that you see the continuing discussion in the next legislative session going to be focusing on the continuing discussion or debate between municipal water needs and agriculture water needs going forward. What tone and texture do you think that will bring about, and what does agriculture need to do to make sure that it doesn't be left high and dry, so to speak?
Well, I think one of the things we're working on is education, educating the public on the water rights and property rights, educating them on the affordability of food and how it actually gets to the grocery store. And I think part of that is on us to get that word out, how all this is all going to work to get out to them.
One of the problems that many people have is the fact that average farmer in the nation is in the mid-50s, and the next generation of farmers that is so prevalent at this table today, the ascendancy of the previous generation into the current generation, those people are not coming along. And what's going to happen to agriculture going forward long term if you don't have other people to take over these small family farms and so forth that Bobby's talking about?
Right, and there's, as I believe I've heard that each generation that goes along now is only half of the previous generation is coming along to take over the family farm. So the supply of farmers is getting smaller with each succeeding generation, and consequently each farm is getting larger. So how to make those farms more efficient and how to be able best to pass those family farms along to the next generation is going to be important. Part of the things we're looking at is the death tax and inheritance taxes and things like that. That's some more of the issues we'll be talking about and looking at.
So when a municipality says, we have a higher demand because we got people, and that's accepted in water law in the state of Texas, surface or underground water. The people are going to have somewhat of a priority as it relates to, are their spigots going to be cut off? Is their faucet going to be cut off in their kitchen, their bathroom, and whatever city, big or small, where they currently reside? Agriculture will always take a second position. But that second position is very important, and the people need to understand that a big percentage of the acreage in the state of Texas is still predominant and required to be successful in agriculture, because those checks go to the landowners or not go to the landowners who may have had that family farm years and years ago. We'll be back in a moment. Stay tuned. Well, I'm coming to you today from the Richard M. Borchard Regional Fairgrounds, Robstown, Texas. We're going to be talking about water. Whiskey's for drinking, water's for fighting, and going to be a little bit of a fight at the Texas legislature this particular year because the Texas water plan is going to be discussed. There's always a fight between municipalities across the state of Texas who need and want that water for the folks, for the people, for the population. However, agriculture, farmers' agriculture, ranchers' agriculture, those particular needs are present. Charles Ring, Chairman, San Patricio County Groundwater Conservation District. Last session, Texas legislature, there was a bill in the Rio Grande Valley of South Texas where the municipality of McAllen wanted to take over an irrigation district that existed in their, still exists in their city, municipality. They wanted to take over that particular district. You were particularly concerned, as well as Dale Burden, the district area manager or head of the Farm Bureau. Why was the Farm Bureau so concerned about a municipality, in this case McAllen, taking over a surface water irrigation district known as Dalrymple County Water Improvement District number 3?
Well, we certainly didn't want to set a precedent. We didn't want a precedent set that would allow that to happen, and then it would be a chain of dominoes from across the state, whereas the importance of city and urban water superseded that historical consumption of irrigation water that supports our food supply. North Texas is critical, and in the coastal bend, that I would say that it's not an issue in the same regard because the economy is not so dependent upon our irrigation water because we don't have as many acres. It's mostly a dry land area. Now the Rio Grande Valley may be different, but North Texas is certainly different, and the whole economy is based upon agriculture. And so, yes, we just didn't want to set a precedent that
One governmental entity, a city, could take over a second governmental
Certainly.
entity known as a
certainly,
surface
and that's
water
the whole
irrigation
idea.
district.
That's the whole idea.
Okay. So the thought would be, if that precedent had been set and Governor Perry had not vetoed it, then that precedent could come up to all your groundwater districts throughout the entire state of Texas and be
That's
taken
right.
over by San Antonio, which is the Bear County.
Right.
SAWS, which wants to take over all the water in the Bear Aquifer and Edwards Aquifer and so forth.
It's still economics. It's where the money's at, and that's always a concern. They've probably got more. Certainly have more money than most of us do at the irrigation level to compete for that same gallon of water.
Well, SAWS tried to take over, and it went to the Texas Supreme Court, as you know, wanting to take over and gain the total authority over the groundwater in the Edwards Aquifer, and the Supreme Court turned that down. And what was that all about, and how did that work? The Supreme Court basically held that the water under your property as a farmer, irrigation farmer, or a rancher, the water under your property belongs to you.
We still have the right
They upheld that.
They upheld the right to pump.
You think that'll continue to be an area of attack on the part of not only the legislature?
I
and
think
the
that's
court?
going to be an argument from here on out. I don't think there'll ever
Every
be.
time the session's going on, you're
certainly-
gonna have to fight like crazy to keep your rights.
I think all property owners. I don't whether it's even whether we can go beyond water. I think as time goes on, property rights are a Texas issue, and then we have to maintain them.
So this is gonna be a very interesting year.
Wow.
The Texas legislature,
Right.
all these issues on the table.
Water rights tie back to a lot of other things.
Well, the good news is you got energy and ag on the same page. Because the oil and gas producers, they want to continue the way it's been working. They want to be able to get the water from groundwater districts and the groundwater. They want to continue to get a lease with you, the landowner, and have those royalty checks go directly to you, as has been the case for eons of time in the state of Texas.
Well, that's the same thing with the oil industry as it is with the irrigators. I'd like to have enough water for the next generation to use. Well, the Eagleford Shale's going to take a little bit of time. If they run out of water before they get across it all, it could complicate matters somewhat. So it's in the best interest of industry to work with the organizations out there to conserve the water and use it to the best of everybody's benefit. And I feel like that's through our local water districts. Local water districts work together. They may have different rules for each county, but we all work together. And it rather gets contentious between some counties, but we're sharing the water, there's no doubt about that. We just gotta make sure everybody's got some.
We'll be back in a moment with a wrap-up. Welcome back to the wrap-up segment of Ron Whitlock Reports Water, Water Everywhere, but nary a drop to drink. Water's for fighting and whiskey's for drinking, as they have said in history throughout all mankind. Colin Chopless and Clarence Chopless, father-son operation, 3,500 acres here in San Patricio and Bee County. Fourth generation farmers here in South Texas. As a wrap-up segment, tell us why it's important for agriculture, farmers and ranchers to be protected when cities are so ravenous to get that water.
Well, I feel like from a standpoint of agriculture, and like I said in my beginning statement, we as farmers do such a good job of taking care of the minerals in the water that we do have on our property.
Been doing it for 4 generations.
Well, we try to make the most out of it. That's what we make our living on. So I feel like from a standpoint of a city or municipality coming in and exploiting our water, taking our water necessarily, that we should be compensated for it, of course. And, there's a fine line there, because I understand people in the cities that at the end of the day, they just want to be able to turn their faucet on and have some water come out of it. And I think they need to realize that so many other things are tied into that water, that we take that water and we grow crops with it, that therefore provides a food supply for them at a reasonable, very, very reasonable price. We have the cheapest food and the safest food in the world right here in America. And I understand we got to have it both ways. They need to have their water in their bathtub when they turn it on, and we need to have our water that we're going to manage well, that we can utilize on our farms.
You've heard from the 4th generation, now the 3rd generation. Tell us, Clarence, your opinion about what.
There's a situation where the farmers or the landowner owns the water rights under his farm in the state of Texas. If they
Up till now.
Up till now. If they want to use our water, it would definitely need to be compensated for it. But there's a situation out there to where maybe we can get together on some things. And one is, they don't particularly need our underground water that we use for irrigation. We have plenty of what's called a brine water, a little bit too salty for us to be able to use on irrigation. And our cities and the municipalities need to start looking at desalinization.
Along the coast, Pecos, wherever in Texas. got
It
brown
doesn't
water.
matter, you can make it in downtown Dallas if you wanted to. Have desalinization plants put in, you can run them off of natural gas, that we have plenty of natural gas underground, which is also, the farmers and ranchers own it. A lot of the cities have land that they still have, it has plenty of gas under it. You can put desalinization plants in, and it's a thing that's coming in the future. There's no doubt about it. There's not enough fresh water out there that we can either pump out of the ground or they could capture in a reservoir.
That may be a heck of an idea. Using natural gas already there.
It's already there.
Drill that well for both. You get both. You get natural gas, you get that brine water, you got a bit. You got a bit.
Yeah,
Colin, Clarence,
thank you.
thank you for joining us. Thank you for being with us, and thank you to the Bee County Co-op and San Patricio County Co-op for hosting Ron Whitlock Reports here today. Go to ronwhitlockrreports.com for future views of this program. Till next time, adios.